Imagine the most successful company on earth, a multi-trillion-dollar enterprise. Now imagine its board of directors getting into an argument so petty. They decide to just lock the doors, shut off the power, and send nearly 1 million employees home without pay. For 43 days, this isn't a hypothetical. This is exactly what the United States government just did to itself. The price tag for this political performance, $11 billion. That isn't deferred spending. That is $11 billion in economic activity that has vanished, gone, forever. This is the story of the longest, most expensive government shutdown in American history. A financial blunder that reveals a baffling flaw built right into the heart of the world's largest economy. So how does this happen? How does the world's most advanced economy have a self-destruct button? And why do they keep pushing it? Well, that flaw isn't a bug. It's a feature. It's called the power of the purse, and it's written right into the US Constitution. It gives Congress, not the president, total control over all federal spending. Think of the US Treasury as that giant water faucet. By law, every year on October 1st, Congress has to agree on a budget to turn that faucet on for the next year. Now, what happens if they can't agree in most other developed countries like the UK, Canada, or Australia? The government would just keep running on last year's budget. It's called automatic continuing appropriation. It's sensible. America doesn't always do sensible. Thanks to an obscure 1870 law called the Anti-Deficiency Act and a crucial legal opinion in 1980, if there's no budget, the faucet isn't just reduced, it is slammed off. That is a government shutdown. For decades, this was a political nuclear option that no one dared to use. Then came 1995. Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich decided to use this weapon against President Bill Clinton over budget cuts. It was seen as radical and unthinkable breach of norms. It lasted 21 days and politically backfired on Gingrich. It was so damaging no one tried it again at that scale for almost 20 years. Then in 2013, a faction of Congress tried to defund the Affordable Care Act, leading to a 16-day shutdown. People were furious. Public approval of Congress hit single digits. Then came the winter of 2018. A bitter fight over border wall funding led to a 34-day marathon. That became the new painful record until this year, and now 2025. A 43-day behemoth. The trigger this time, a deeply partisan and ultimately futile fight over healthcare subsidies. If this mechanism seems clumsy and inefficient, you might wonder, why not just pass a full budget before the deadline? Well, in this era of hyper-partisanship passing, a full one-year budget is like asking two mortal enemies to co-write a symphony. It's just not going to happen. So they invented a political band-aid. It's called a continuing resolution, or CR. A CR is basically Congress saying, we can't agree on anything, so let's just agree to fund the government for a few more weeks, and then we'll fight about it again. The 2025 shutdown happened because after months of kicking the can down the road with CRs, one side finally refused to kick it any further. And a quick crucial clarification. This is not the debt ceiling. People mix these up constantly. A shutdown is failing to approve future spending. It's like voluntarily locking the doors to your own shop. The debt ceiling is failing to pay the credit card bills for things you've already bought. It's like defaulting on your mortgage. Both are terrible. But this 43-day crisis was pure bizarre self-sabotage. But while the politicians in Washington played their game of chicken, who actually paid the price for this 43-day dysfunction? It starts with 900,000 federal employees. They were split into two unfortunate groups, the furloughed and the accepted. Furloughed is just a polite bureaucratic word for, "You are non-essential. Go home. We are not paying you." This group included people like, let's call her Sarah. Sarah is a climate scientist at NASA. For the last 2 years, she's been managing a project monitoring polar ice melt via satellite. The data comes in every single day. It needs to be captured, processed, and analyzed. When the shutdown hit, Sarah was furloughed. The satellite didn't stop. The data kept coming, but there was no one there to catch it. For 43 days, that data streamed into the void. You can't back pay lost data. That is a permanent black hole in our planet's medical record. A gap created not by scientific failure, but by political paralysis. That part of the $11 billion is gone forever. Then there's the second group, the accepted. This is where the story moves from tragic to absurd. Accepted means your job is so critical to national security and public safety that you are legally required to come to work, but we are still not going to pay you. This group included 55,000 Hewler's TSA agents. It included FBI agents. It included air traffic controllers. Let's call one of them James. James is an air traffic controller at Atlanta Hartsfield, the busiest airport in the world. His job is to keep hundreds of thousands of people from falling out of the sky. For 6 weeks, James did this job for free. The stress was so immense that unofficial sick-outs rippled across the system, leading to over 10,000 flight delays nationwide. How do you focus on keeping 500 tons of metal and 300 lives safe when you're sitting in that chair unpaid, calculating if you can afford to put gas in your car to even get to work tomorrow? But the 11 billion blunder didn't just hit government paychecks. It created an economic shockwave. Meet Maria. Maria runs a small manufacturing company in Ohio. She just secured a massive new contract, but she needed a $500,000 loan to buy new equipment. Her loan was approved by the Small Business Administration, the SBA. All it needed was a final signature. But the person who signs was furloughed. For 43 days, Maria's entire company hung in the balance. She couldn't hire, she couldn't expand. She almost lost the contract. Now multiply Maria's story by 30,000. That's the number of SBA-backed loans that were frozen solid. Add to that the $400 million in lost revenue from national parks being closed, which in turn devastated the local economies of the towns that depend on that tourism. And that is what the 11 billion is. When the Congressional Budget Office ran the numbers, they confirmed this wasn't just delayed spending. This was a permanent loss. It's the cost of the lost NASA data. It's the cost of the airport chaos from stressed-out controllers. It's the sound of Maria's new factory machines sitting silent. It is the price of pure political dysfunction. It is quite literally $11 billion set on fire. So, a messy, expensive domestic political drama. Why should anyone outside of the United States care at all? Because for the last 80 years, the entire global economic system has been built on one simple promise: the stability of the United States. The US dollar isn't just America's money, it's the world's reserve currency. US Treasury bonds are considered the safest asset on Earth. The system works because people believe the US government is a reliable, predictable adult in the room. This 43-day shutdown was a 1,000-hour global advertisement that the adult is no longer in the room, and the world was watching closely. In China, state-run media outlets like the Global Times had a field day. They didn't just report the news, they celebrated it. Their narrative was simple and effective. Look at the chaos of Western democracy. look at how their system is broken. Now, look at the stability of our system. For Beijing, this wasn't a story about a budget. It was a story about American decline. And what about America's allies? The reaction was less mockery and more anxiety. In Germany, Der Spiegel called it a government in self-imposed paralysis. In the UK, the Financial Times ran editorials questioning in very polite British terms whether US political risk was becoming a new permanent drag on the global economy. And the financial markets noticed. Yield on 10-year US Treasury bonds ticked up. It was the market pricing in a new absurd risk premium for American dysfunction. When your rivals are laughing and your friends are nervous, you have a problem. Every time a crisis like this happens, it gives allies a reason to diversify. It gives rivals a talking point. It chips away tiny piece by tiny piece at the foundation of the economic order. This 11 billion blunder wasn't just an internal memo. It was a press release sent to the entire world. The 2025 shutdown finally ended, as it always does with a last-minute deal that solved nothing, simply delaying the fight for a few more months. It revealed that in the 21st century, perhaps the greatest strategic threat to the United States isn't a foreign power. The real threat isn't decline, it's decay. The slow, self-inflicted rot of a house divided against itself. But what's your 2 cents? Is this political flaw something America can ever fix? Or is it just part of the brand now? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And that's our 2 cents.